Hey everybody, this is Scott with GuitarAndBass.com. Thanks for checking out this video. Really appreciate you taking the time to click on. Wanted to talk today about how to create a great lead tone or killer lead tone. Alright, so how do you get that tone that's going to really set your guitar apart, put it out in front of the mix, and allow you to express yourself during your solo. So let's just talk couple quick tips, and then you can go try them out, okay? This is something that we all kind of have to work through, and what sounds good like at home in the studio maybe doesn't quite work when you got the full band playing around you. That's happened to me many times, so, and maybe to you as well. So here's some things that I have picked up along the way that hopefully will help you, kind of figure that out too. So obviously, for a killer lead tone, we need a lot of sustain that comes through distortion. A lot of distortion. The sustain is going to allow us to really have our solo and what we do in the solo be heard, because it's going to sustain and push through that big mix. So that's number one. You need some kind of full sustain tone, something like maybe like this. It's going to last a long time. So my bends will be tracked. You'll be able to hear the subtleties of my articulation. Because if you're using a clean tone, you would still be doing that, but you wouldn't be able to hear it, right? It would just dissipate too fast. So, key ingredient number one, obviously, is distortion. That's kind of a no-brainer, right? But here's the other one that's not that is not so maybe intuitive, and it has to do with where the guitar lies frequency-wise. So the guitar's meat and potatoes frequencies, especially when you're doing solos, is like right in the mid-range, like 300 to 400 hertz to like 1200 hertz. So that's your play. That's where these notes lie. Right? So that's your zone. And so if you want that to be louder, you know how you make frequencies louder, right? You boost them, you give them more energy. So EQing those frequencies and bringing those out is going to boost your solo and make it cut right through the mix too. So that's another key thing, is to think about equalization. And sometimes you can only really tweak that out while you're in the band situation, depending on the room, whether instruments are playing. But just know that either through your amplifier, boosting your mids, or even if you have like a graphic EQ, you can boost the mids, and without increasing overall volume, because you get louder, everybody gets louder, and pretty soon nobody can hear anything. But you can selectively increase the EQs frequencies that your actual notes are using, and in effect get more volume and cut through. So those are two huge things, and you can do that with your amp. With if you've got like a three-way kind of deal where you got low, mids, and highs, you can boost the mids a little bit more, or you can get an EQ. I shouldn't say graphic. I meant to say parametric. Just like effects box where you can boost those mids. All right, so those are two main ingredients for getting your lead tone. Kind of a no-brainer, but I think the EQ thing is something that maybe, and I know I did this before, when I wasn't cutting through the mix, I'd turn the volume up, right? Which works. Everything goes up when you do that. But then by the end of the night, it's so loud that nothing can be heard. So this is one way of kind of getting what you need, more boost on the frequencies that you're using without raising the overall volume. So kind of keep that in mind. So, but now, here are like two special ingredients that sometimes you'll be able to use and then sometimes not, and that is delay and reverb. So here's my rule of thumb. If I've got a song where there's a lot of notes, maybe an up-tempo song, keep the delay off, just so that if it's one of those crazy kind of moments in the song where you're just like free riding, right? The delay's only going to kind of pull you back. It's going to make it a little bit less responsive. So for those kind of songs, keep the delay off. But for songs that are have a little bit more space in the mix or a little slower, the delay sweetens up. So let's first do no delay. No delay. Okay, so we got the tone, we got the EQ where we want, or distortion tone where we want. Now let's add some delay. Ah, more sustain. And that's what we want, right? So, delay, secret ingredient number 3, when the song allows for it. Alright? And then lastly, reverb. Now reverb's tricky because what reverb does, it pulls the guitar into the background. It creates its own separate box of sound, which is good because it separates the guitar sound. You know, it creates this box, but it does so by pulling you back into the mix, which really works well if the mix isn't too thick. You know, like in blues and stuff like that. I mean, that's really great. But if the mix starts getting thick and a lot of the frequencies are just, you know, covered, what can happen is that reverb will work against you, is what I'm saying. So reverb's kind of tricky. Reverb, I think, sounds really, really good when you're practicing your licks by yourselves. Or by yourself. It sounds great. But you have to then kind of see if it would work at the full, you know, in the full band. And 9 times out of 10, you're just going to get rid of the reverb in like a full on deal, because you got just so much going on. But let's add a little reverb, a little spring reverb here. Bring it down a little bit. More. Okay, so those are the secret ingredients, I think, that could really help to just nail in your lead tone, right? Because you just want that lead tone. First of all, you gotta like it, you gotta love your lead tone, but it also has to work for you and do what it's supposed to do. It needs to be out in front and over top just enough so it can be heard. So distortion, right? So full saturation. EQ, the mids, right? The mids can be boosted. And in special delay, if you can, it's going to increase your sustain if the song warrants it. And reverb, that might be one that you're used to playing with at home. Try cutting it out when you're playing live, and you probably will hear yourself better and play better. Alright, well, thanks for checking out this video. I hope it helps, and I look forward to seeing you next time.